Hello, my name is Deborah Hewitt and I'm the Managing Director and co-founder of the Lisa Lashes School of Music. So our school started when Lisa and I met in May of 2018. Lisa was putting on a workshop for under 18s and I'd spotted on social media through a mutual connection and thought actually this is something that would be really interesting for my son at the time. He had just turned 17, was at a loose end, college wasn't really working for him, school had been a really challenging environment. He has ADHD and is severely dyslexic, so he wasn't potentially going to finish with any grades that he would have been happy with, and he really wasn't sure in what direction he was going to go. He was very, very talented in anything to do with the arts and had bundles of energy, so I thought, well, why not? Showed him the opportunity and he absolutely jumped at the chance, and it was a bit of a push to try and get a place for him because it was exclusive just for students that were living in Leicester. Really excitingly, Lisa, of course, after a little plea, said that she would open it up for us to travel up from Kent. So on the day that we walked through the door, the room was just absolutely electric. There was just so much energy from all of the students, and watching my son, who was quite nervous in those kind of environments, come alive was really, it was inspiring to see for a parent, and it just sort of gave me something. I thought, well, you know, at least he's had this one opportunity, this one day that he's really enjoyed. We then had the journey home. Well, 4 hours of just, you know, a teenager who doesn't tend to say very much. You know, you get the usual grunts, and he would just talk non-stop about all of the different things that, you know, that he'd experienced on that day. He was full of energy, full of excitement, and said that he absolutely loved music and how could he progress, what could he do next. So it came from after the Saturday, and on that Monday I thought, well, why not give Lisa a call? She'd spoken to me at the event and she'd she'd asked about my background, and my background was within training, and I already had training companies and had some experience in what it might look like to facilitate a programme, a unique, maybe short course. So I gave Lisa a call, but she was asking about how to upskill herself and have a teacher qualification. And on that Monday, after having, I think we were on the phone for about 3 hours, we decided from that point that actually, wouldn't it be amazing if we could incorporate education and music and just merge those together and potentially offer a programme for students to get into DJing or music production. That 3 hour conversation turned into, from May until July, of working every single hour we possibly could. Night and day. We would speak at 2 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. We were looking at bringing the syllabus together. I was share, what a programme would look like, a plan, and Lisa, of course, would just go away and turn this into the most amazing content that we could use for our first delivery. Through some of my contacts for the companies that I run, we had a fully funded programme within 3 weeks. And we had the opportunity to be housed in a platform in Northampton within the first 7 weeks. So it was pretty fast moving. We had gone from just this one conversation, this one opportunity of an under 18s workshop, to having 40 students sign up and a team of 10 within 7 weeks, housed in the first ever unique sort of training environment, training in a club in the day, and the history, you know, the whole programme comes from there really. In August of 2018, we had just started our programme, and we had an opportunity that has really seen us have a great relationship with the local police force here in Northampton. We met Inspector Darrell Lyon through a mutual connection here, the manager of the club, Matthew Nunn, and he thought that there was some synergy between the programme that Inspector Lyons was managing, which is SERVE. That's the Community Initiative to Reduce Violence, and the programme that we were delivering, as it would potentially give some of his cohort an opportunity to study music, even if they didn't have any education previously within the sector. So through that initial relationship, the first sort of meetings exploring, you know, how we could work together, I think Lisa and I knew very, very quickly that we wanted to get the opportunity to do two things. One, we wanted to work with younger students as well, so we were at that point working with overnight teens, but we wanted to work with the 11 to 18 year olds or 11 to 16 year olds, which is where we started, for students that had been excluded from school. That was quite a long process. It took us about 6 months before we had our first programme here that was unique for our students. We didn't want to call it alternative provision, we called it UP. For us it was always about our students moving onwards and upwards and giving them opportunities. So in the April of 2019 we had our first cohort, 11 students facilitated by the Northampton County Council that had been excluded from school for a variety of different reasons. And that was one that we definitely, I think I've got some extra grey hairs for that one as well, but it was a real eye-opener of what you can actually achieve if you put time and patience and a little bit of love into students that are very, very disengaged from education, that have failed, that come sometimes from disadvantaged backgrounds, or come from backgrounds where the parents have given them absolutely everything, but they just struggle with potentially having some diagnosis of ADHD, autism, Asperger's, and not really quite fitting not only the education system but their peers. So for us it's not just about music, it's not just about education, it's those soft skills, it's the skills of making friendships. Having a student come to you that's never had a sleepover, that hasn't really had any strong friendships, and we've facilitated that. We've given them friends, and friends for life. We've given them a safe community. We've given them the opportunity to reintegrate into education and feel empowered about who they are and what they can achieve. I think that, not just for Lisa and I, but for the entire tutor team, it was a real sort of eye-opener and a groundbreaking moment for us, for our school. That led us perfectly into working with the SERVE cohort. So working with students that had a more challenging past, that had already experienced time in custody, that had gone down the wrong path, that had been heavily entrenched in gang activity, or having students that were really at risk of being groomed by gangs because they were in the care system. And now we do a lot of work that really supports that initiative, and the team of navigators that Darryl has that work for him. They are equally absolutely incredible tutors in their own right. To have a navigator that works for the police force and also sits in the studio and supports, lyric content with our tutors, it just shows that those boundaries can be broken, and that the police, our school and our tutors who work in the industry can all seamlessly sort of wrap around like a multi-agency would and give that student absolutely everything they need to go onward into further education, employment, or if they have some extra talent, stay with us and train to become a tutor for our next generation.